This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and with me is Anders, going to give us this week's topics.
The bad boys are back, and the Lions have never looked less intimidating. It's a Fan Report.
I wouldn't quite say the bad boys are back. That would require...
The bad boys are back.
That would require some winning basketball.
The bad boys are back.
No, how dare you? How dare you put this team in the same vein as that Hall of Fame laden roster? How dare you? One of these two teams has a 30 for 30 after it. The other one,
we'll get one.
Unless things drastically improve over the next decade, we'll never get one.
We're going to get 30 for 30 before next week's game against the Lakers.
No, I highly doubt that would happen because I don't think it's feasibly possible. I don't think ESPN works that quickly. Well, no, I know ESPN doesn't work that quickly. ESPN doesn't work quickly on anything. Anyways, how dare you? That being said, yes, things got a little rough and tough in the WWE Stadium this past week between the Lakers and the Pistons. Primarily centered around Isaiah Stewart and LeBron James. I think it's a good place to start off before we move on into some other Pistons conversations. Yeah, LeBron, I don't know if it was an elbow. I don't know if it was a half-closed fist. I don't know what it was, but he took a swipe at Isaiah Stewart after looking at him. Looked purposeful as hell. Some people said it didn't. Well, I think you're full of shit.
Claimed. LeBron himself claims it wasn't.
I think he's full of shit. I think Isaiah Stewart got in his head, and LeBron said, "Fuck this! I'm gonna smack him."
You asked me. It looks like he turned around and a fistful of fists got a whole lot of face.
Yeah, and it caused Isaiah Stewart to be busted open, bleeding everywhere, and then Isaiah Stewart proceeded to go full on 3-year-old and try to chase him down across the court. And through the locker rooms and then back out. It was a mess.
He went legit Hulk mode.
He did.
He saw red both figuratively and literally.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna give you my whole thoughts on it, like from both sides of the coin. One, I've said this from the very beginning of the Fan Report, and I'm gonna say it again. LeBron is the biggest bitch out there. He's a bitch. He went and ran and hid. This man is 6'8", 240 pounds or whatever he is, 220, whatever he is. He's a big dude. Mm-hmm. And he's running and hiding behind the refs and backing away and hiding behind his team and won't stand up and be a man and take what he should. Mm-hmm. He was too scared to stand up for himself. 2, Isaiah Stewart's got to have a lot more composure than that.
I agree.
It was not a good look. He almost incited another riot in another brawl inside the arena in Detroit, which Mason was clearly terrified of that happening by the amount of times he says, "Fans, please do not step onto the floor." He needs to be better at composing himself. Yes, what LeBron did was dirty and cheap. Yes, he's allowed to be mad. But you know what? After he got in your face and said your piece the first time, even the second time, I had no issue with him going after LeBron or DeAndre Jordan, whoever he went after the second time. But the third time, after you pulled the fake, I'm good, and then started to walk away into towards the locker room, and then you're like, oh, nope, I'm pissed, and turns around and then runs over a security guard to then go after LeBron again. All right, now you've done too much.
Yeah, because let's be honest, like his antics there basically cost us the game. Like Anthony Davis put up 21 of his 30 in the second half when Isaiah Stewart left. Like there's a very good argument to be made that we may have won that game had Isaiah Stewart
the remaining stars been able to stay in Lakers there. went nuts after LeBron and Isaiah Stewart were kicked out of the game. I don't know if it galvanized the Lakers or what, but it surely opened up some room for Russell Westbrook to do some work, and it opened up some room for Anthony Davis to do it as well.
I hate people saying it galvanized the Lakers against a 4-win Pistons team like they needed galvanizing. No, we had a giant hole in the middle, and Anthony Davis filled it.
I'll say this. I'm going to disagree with you on that because the Lakers team for a while have been flat and unengaged. And you could argue that the leader of the team stepping up and making some fake-ass tough guy move is something that can rally some of the other players in that team. Russell Westbrook was fired up during that fight. Dude had his dukes up. He was ready to square up with Isaiah Stewart, who's bigger and taller.
And was squaring up about 10 feet away from Isaiah Stewart.
But you know what? I'll tell you right now, Russell Westbrook is a bulldog, and I would not want to get in. If there was a fight that I was involved in, I would want Russell Westbrook on my side, not the other side. He's a bulldog. He doesn't back down. He doesn't take shit, and he'll stand up and fight anybody, whether or not it's a good idea.
Well, here's my question. Who would you rather have on your side, Isaiah Stewart or LeBron in a fight?
Probably Isaiah Stewart, because LeBron's going to hide behind everybody. Isaiah Stewart or LeBron, or Isaiah Stewart or Russell Westbrook?
Did you see that Bovada actually, I don't even understand how this works, but apparently Bovada listed odds for a hypothetical boxing match between Isaiah Stewart and LeBron. Like, I don't get how that works because there's no actual boxing match happening. So, like,
I don't know. All these sports books are weird.
But anyway, LeBron was listed as minus 230 while Isaiah Stewart was plus 160.
Well, LeBron's got the size. There's no doubt about that. He's got the size advantage on him. He's huge.
Does he?
Yes, I do believe he does. He's 6'8", 200 and some odd pounds. Isaiah Stewart's
Isaiah Stewart's what, 6'8", 250?
Yeah, but LeBron's just built different. Look at the difference in the bodies.
Isaiah Stewart's built like a linebacker.
So is LeBron. Look at the body size. Look at the body difference. Like, Isaiah Stewart looks skinnier out there. He looks smaller. LeBron looks massive in comparison to most players on the floor. He just looks bigger. He's just built different. In terms of age, yeah, Isaiah Stewart's got him beat. No question.
They're basically the exact same size.
All right,
I'd say 250 also.
I'd still understand why LeBron would be favored. I'd take Isaiah Stewart because he's a loose cannon and willing to just throw his own life on the line to go after somebody. Speaking of which, I guess not speaking of which, whatever. Did you see the video that a fan took that was sitting on the baseline lower level of Isaiah Stewart running away from Cade Cunningham and then
Yeah.
My favorite part of that entire video, if you can find it real quick, do it.
With the police officer?
Yes. Watch the cop. He goes, "Oh no, don't go, come back."
He's like calmly reaches a hand out, but like does not move a muscle out of his mouth.
It was an "Oh no, don't run."
You know what? Like, God bless Cade. Like, he put his body on the line trying to hold Isaiah Stewart back. But I don't know if you noticed on that third, like, psych, I'm going back at him. Cade was the only Piston that went after Isaiah. They all just kind of looked at him after that, like, dude, what the fuck? that was basically the reaction of the rest of the team.
At that point, it was like, all right, well, we ain't getting involved anymore because you already done too much. Like, it was at that point where everybody in that building should have thought, all right, you've done too much. You calm down. There's no need. Cade proved he was a leader. I love what Cade did. Don't get me wrong. But when Isaiah Stewart, the third time, went after LeBron and ran people over to do it, and then he tried to run through the hallways in the back to run around to come out the other side, like, dude.
Yeah, Corey Joseph goes the other way to intercept them.
Like,
dude, honestly, Isaiah Stewart running at full speed versus a Corey Joseph trying to stop him, who's winning that battle? It's Isaiah Stewart.
Okay, but it's funny, but at the same time, it's not, because it could have, if he ended up getting around and going it back out there, he probably would have gotten two more games.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yes,
I know.
Like,
I'm just saying, all I'm saying is what was Corey Joseph going to do? That's a joke.
I really doubt Isaiah Stewart's dumb enough to run over his own teammate, and if he was, then frankly, I'd want the team to suspend him for longer.
He ran over his own coaches, so
well, whatever. Either way, coaches aren't on the floor trying to help this team win.
We don't know what happened once Isaiah Stewart ran back into the tunnel. My guess is that was his intent, and coaches caught up with him and calmed him down before he got to the other side. They do connect,
and it does go around, and it has had that exact situation where someone trying to fight somebody going around the hallways to get through to come out the other side happened at the Staples Center. I'm pretty sure last year, so it's happened before. But I love the fire. And I love the tenacity, and I love how you get after it, Isaiah Stewart, but you have to be composed in that situation. Because I'll tell you right now, LeBron was getting kicked out of that game regardless.
Yeah, like in his face that first time, but then walk
but
away.
But then you know what you
like,
do? You know how to get in LeBron's head and into the Lakers' head and even more and shoot and prove that you are mentally tougher? After you get in his face the first time, as blood's pouring down your face, you just smile and say, "Gotcha, bitch." That's what you do.
This is what you laugh, you take your finger, you wipe it across your blood-stained eye, and then you lick it.
All right, this ain't Rambo. But
while staring
if
at
Isaiah
LeBron.
Stewart maintains his composure there, the mental fortitude of him in that situation would have won the Pistons that game.
Yeah.
Because that just says you are so much mentally stronger than even the leader of the LA Lakers that they can't touch you.
Yeah, the inexperience came through there for Isaiah Stewart.
The inexperience, I don't even know if it's inexperience. It's just youth and lack of maturity is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a player who's been in the league 5-6 years, not named Ron Artest, is
or
not
Dennis
gonna,
Rodman
is not going to lose their shit like that.
Insert name here, Ben Wallace. I mean, even he was known to go after players a little too far, i.e. the Malice at the Palace.
But shoot, even a Ben Wallace Malice at the Palace retaliation where it was a shove and just getting in the face.
He went after Ron Artest the second time, though. When he laid down on the scorer's table, Ben Wallace tried to get in his face again. And
I don't remember him getting his face on the scorer's
I promise
table.
you, I watched the video not long ago. I watched the whole video from all angles. He tried to get in his face again. He tried to go after him again. And for the most part, Ben was good at maintaining his composure. That situation, he did not.
Yeah.
But Isaiah Stewart's got to be smarter in that situation. But you know what? I love the way the team rallied around him. I love the way that Cade stepped up to be a leader. And I do love the fire that came out of Isaiah Stewart there. He's not going to back down. He's not just going to take it.
There's good and bad to take from it.
Absolutely. Well, now it's costing him 2 games, which in all reality, does it mean anything? No. This team's not going anywhere this year.
It means we're going to get destroyed by Bam Adebayo tonight. That's what it means.
That's wonderful. Luka Garza got his first start tonight. Congrats to him. But regardless,
did they name him the starter? I missed that.
Yeah, they did. They just named him the starter. But in all reality, like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really affect much for the Pistons and probably not for the Lakers because probably would have been the night off for LeBron anyways because dude sits every other game.
I'll be honest though, I am surprised because I really did think that the NBA was going to suspend both through their meeting next week or later this week, I should say.
The NBA needs that news story to go with their next.
So you think they're going to drum it up? You think they're going to play it up a bit?
Absolutely, I do. And you know what? I think the city of LA and the Lakers fan base is also going to try to rile it up. There's going to be tons of boos for Isaiah Stewart when he's on the floor, and I bet you he'll feed off of it.
Does LeBron take a rest game that day?
No. LeBron,
can you imagine?
If he takes a rest day, that will just prove he's 1, a bitch, and 2, scared of Isaiah Stewart. Just to show that he's got the toughness, the tenacity, and the mental fortitude to hang around, he has to play in that game.
I do wonder if he ever ended up getting a hold of Isaiah because Shams reported that LeBron tried to get a hold of Isaiah's number to apologize and say it was completely unintentional. I do wonder if he ever ended up getting a hold of his number.
I don't care because I think it's full of shit. I think LeBron is straight up a bitch and he's full of shit. I think he is the biggest actor in the sport of basketball. He acts on the floor. He acts off the floor. I think he's fake as hell.
I mean, he did just get his Academy Award nomination for Space Jam, so
I think he's fake as hell.
Oh, no reaction on that one.
It's a joke. I'm not even going to entertain it. Not even going to entertain it. LeBron is fake as hell in my mind, and I don't think his apology to anybody was it. You know what that's doing for LeBron? It makes him look like the good guy in the situation. Isaiah Stewart is the bad man that came after me after I accidentally, bumped into him. That's what he's trying to paint. He's trying to paint this good guy picture. When LeBron, when it comes down to it, does a lot of dirty shit on the floor. Not really known as a dirty player, but has done a lot of dirty shit on the floor and never gets any flack for it. And in this case, he should. He did instigate the whole thing. He did start the whole thing. What he did to Isaiah Stewart was totally unnecessary. And frankly, I would have loved to see both get suspended for even longer. Is that a good thing for the Pistons? No, but maybe I honestly do wish Isaiah Stewart would have been able to swing on him. Because what's LeBron going to do? Is he going to swing back?
Dude,
Probably not, because he's a bitch.
If Isaiah Stewart struck the poster boy of the league in LeBron James, that would be a season-long suspension.
Or longer, yep. And you know what? I'd love it. I would love it. Because that just tells you he's got the balls to go after the poster boy. He ain't scared of nobody.
Well, we're getting number one pick again if that happens. I'll tell you that much.
Sweet. Well, as of right now, we already are getting it. This team looks terrible.
They actually, I'll be honest with you, against the Lakers, I actually went back and watched the replay because I was out for the first half of that game. And they actually did look really good in that first half and much of that third quarter. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter where we all of a sudden decided, forget moving the ball around. Let's just go ISO every play.
I was going to say, they tried to play hero ball that entire fourth quarter, and it killed them.
And this is not the first time this has happened. Like, as soon as it bugs me because as soon as this team gets a little bit of pushback from the opponent, instead of adjusting properly, it just dissolves to hero ball every time.
It's inexperience and youth.
Yeah.
And a lack of true leadership is what it is. Like this team doesn't have a true leader yet.
Which is what happens when you have a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds starting.
Right. And I know Jerami Grant is a leader on the floor. I know Cade is trying
but he's also King Hero Ball.
But he's also King Hero Ball. And both of them are. They're both King Hero Ball in the fourth quarter right now. And it was bad and it costed them the game. But it's a lack of experience in a newer age of basketball where hero ball tends to take over, and that's what they feel like they have to do, when in all reality, if you just do exactly what you've been doing that's clearly been working, you'll win that game. Yeah. But they chose not to. They chose to try to be the hero, and it costed them.
Anything else to add on the Pistons before we talk some lines?
I have been seeing some reports of something that I want to get your thoughts on, and it's a little bit kind of intertwined with something we had been talking about in weeks prior, and that's reports are coming out that Jerami Grant is going to be made available at the trade deadline this year.
I've not seen this.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all over Twitter, and they've cited and I've seen actual screenshots of articles, so it's not just people throwing shit out on Twitter, it's actual articles that have been posted out there. But Jerami Grant it is being speculated that he could be made available at the trade deadline or earlier. One of these suitors I've seen, obviously we've thrown around the idea of the 76ers and Ben Simmons, which then they said that they want Cade and nobody, and that's where you start, and that's laughable. The other suitor that I saw is none other than the LA Lakers. And the package that has been kind of thrown around and speculated on is a mixture of Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and DeAndre Jordan. That does make the contracts work with Nunn and Tucker. It does, and I think Jordan also adding in there does. And you got to throw in a couple minimum contracts.
The only guy would be mildly interested is THT.
Yeah, obviously. They'd have to throw in Kendrick Nunn because of the money, to make the money work.
No, I know. I'm just in terms of a player, the only person I'd be mildly interested in on this team is Taylor Horton-Tucker.
I would agree with you. I do like THT.
But not enough to give Grant, unless you're packaging a pick.
Mind you got to remember, Jerami Grant only has 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah, I know.
He makes $21 million next year, I believe 20 this year. And we've been asking the question of whether or not this guy is part of the future of this franchise. And that does beg the question. And would Talen Horton-Tucker make more sense for this roster? I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I personally, you know what? No, I'll say no. And the reason is because I don't like the package enough for Jerami Grant. I think Jerami Grant provides more than what those guys can bring, because I think Kendrick Nunn is a moot point on this roster with the amount of yards that we already have.
Exactly.
DeAndre Jordan, yes, he'll help us this year at the center position, and we do desperately need a depth center.
That's it. It's gonna be basically a rental, not a rental in a way like he's just gonna hop on our team. I mean a rental in. I don't think we can use him for more than 4 months before he's washed.
Exactly. And Talen Horton-Tucker, yeah, he's a solid player, and he's really kind of come into his own with the Lakers this year in particular. But I still like it's not like Jerami Grant is that old. You know, like he's not old. He's 26, 27 years old.
That's why that's why I don't get the rush. Like, especially if he's going to expiring deal next year, and you can probably give him more for him. Like, I don't see the rush of trading him this year.
The other thing is, with the roster that you have, chances are you won't be able to afford you probably won't be able to afford to keep Jerami Grant after next year.
Yeah, so like next year would be the year I would trade him as an expiring deal. You get a little more out of it.
Yes, you're probably right. But, I mean, a team that's looking to produce a winner this year could go after a guy like Jerami Grant, and you could get the right package.
Yeah, if the right package comes along, sure.
But Taylor Horton-Tucker, I mean, the numbers are a little similar. Taylor Horton-Tucker gives you more boards even at a two-guard position. He scores just a little bit less than Jerami Grant, but in dishing the ball wise, just about the same. Their shooting splits are very similar. Taylor Horton-Tucker a little bit better from three, but and on the field. But outside of that, I mean, it's just the type of player that we're looking for here. And I don't think Taylor Horton-Tucker fits that role because of the amount of guards we have on this roster.
Yeah. And he's not a guy who can really play at the three. So
no, he's only 6'4". There's no way you're playing him at the three.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He is a big 6'4", though. He's 235 pounds.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a big dude.
That's big. Oh. Like, he weighs more than Jerami Grant, and he's 4 inches shorter.
Well, Jerami Grant is kind of a twig, let's be honest.
But that leads us to my next question, Andrew, in terms of Jerami Grant. And I know I've asked this before, but I'm going to ask it again. How do you feel about the Pistons parting from Jerami Grant, whether it be this year or next year?
Next year, I'm okay with it. I mean, I understand that with the players you have on this roster, if you try to extend Jerami Grant, that's going to hamper your ability to retain all three of Cade Cunningham.
Not just that, but also bring in talent in an offseason when you have a ton of money that you want to bring in players.
Exactly. You have a bunch of young guys on this team that, as of right now, are in your future plans. And you have an opportunity with a guy like Jerami Grant who's basically your offensive centerpiece right now on this team to kind of maximize his value next year, where as long as he continues producing, you have a player in his prime getting high volume on a team so he looks attractive on an expiring deal.
Well, that's
numbers, expiring deal, prime.
That was where I was going to say of, the old saying of one in the hand is better than two in the bush. Mm-hmm. What if a team comes forward with a package that is a pretty solid package? But
are you talking about right now?
Yes. If a team were to come forward right now with a solid package, may not be the best package you could potentially get next year, but a really solid package, whether it be Taylor Horton-Tucker and, whatever. Insert names here and then maybe a pick. What if it is that package that's being offered to you now? Or you could choose to wait and see what happens next season, knowing the risk that there is a solid chance Jerami Grant could, 1, get hurt.
Yep, that could happen.
2, end up having a diminishing return because of a lack of production. As players like Cade, Sadiq start to heat up and get more comfortable with this offense. That, as those guys start to get better, guys like Jerami Grant are going to end up taking a step back, so the numbers won't be as good, so you won't get as much of a return.
Yeah, obviously I'm not going to outright say no to any deal that comes across the table because I believe that no matter what, we're going to get a better deal next year. There are situations where the right deal would come along and I'd be like, okay, I guess the time is now to part with Grant because this is a good package. What that package looks like, I'm not entirely sure. The first thing that comes to my mind is I would want a first round pick and I would want a young asset for Jerami Grant.
I'll be honest with you, I think you're asking way too much for Jerami Grant. A young asset and a first round pick. I don't think you'll ever get that expiring deal or not.
For example, you wouldn't take, so you think the Lakers first round pick with Taylor Horton-Tucker is too much for Jerami Grant?
First off, the contracts don't work, can't make it happen. You have to add in
I'm saying in theory.
Well.
I know. I'm just saying, obviously you have to add the filler to get the contracts to work, but the core of that deal would be Taylor Horton-Tucker in the first. Personally, I wouldn't do it because of the player. But I don't think
the Lakers would be willing to offer that first round pick. No, and I don't even think they have their first round pick because.
I don't know if they have.
I don't think they do because of the Russell Westbrook deal. But I personally don't think the Lakers would offer that because I'll be straight up honest with you. Looking at what people say and things I read about Jerami Grant around the league, I think fans in Detroit overvalue him a lot. Like, I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's a top 2 type of guy on any roster that's winning. And you give up first-round picks for top 2 guys. You don't give up young assets and first-round picks for a third or fourth guy on your roster. You don't do that.
But if you're a championship team and you believe Jerami Grant's that last piece, you do what it takes.
I disagree with you because that young asset is a producing part of your team. So are you going to take away a producing part of your team and a first-round pick to grab Jerami Grant, who may be your 4th best guy on the floor? See, that's where I disagree. I don't think a winning team would be willing to do that. Teams that are winning do still look at the next year because they want to win again. They don't want to just win this year. Some teams may be willing to do that, but most don't. I'll tell you right now, the Bucks would not be willing to do that. They would not be willing to give us. Name a young asset.
Yeah, who's the young asset contributor on the Bucks?
Regardless, it doesn't matter. But there are not.
My point is, on a championship team, it's not that it doesn't happen, but more often than not, those young assets are, they're not.
It's not an asset if he's not producing.
Guys.
It's
they're
not
the
an asset
featured guys on the team just yet.
He's not an asset if he's not producing for your team. That's just the nature of the word asset.
I think an asset is an asset regardless.
I disagree. A guy like
you have higher valued assets than others, but still an asset.
But again, if a guy is an asset on a good team, he's producing. Otherwise, he's not getting playing time. A good team wants to win ball games. They're not going to play guys that aren't producing, is my point. So are you going to be willing to take a step back from your producing asset to then upgrade to Jerami Grant and mortgage your future? So you're mortgaging your future 2 ways. I don't think a team is willing to do that for a guy like Jerami Grant, who is your 4th best player or 3rd at tops best player on a good basketball team. I don't see it. I personally do believe we overvalue Jerami Grant here. I love the guy. I love what he brings to the floor. And I love what he brings for the Pistons. But
then you wait till he's an expiring deal and you max out the value there. If you don't think that kind of package would come along,
at that point, then that goes
the
back. The
expiring deal alone is value.
For some teams, sure. But again, it could be diminishing value. You won't get a first and a young asset on just an expiring deal for a guy that isn't producing as much as he was 2 years prior or a year prior even. So all I'm saying is if the right deal comes along, whether it be a first round pick, I think a deal for Jerami Grant should start with, and this is just a starting point, a first round pick or a really good young asset or one of the two. If you get both, you've got.
Keep on, I didn't say really good young asset. I just said young asset.
Okay,
I never said
if they're
really
not
good.
a really good young asset, I don't want them. It's just putting up walls on our roster for guys that aren't even going to get to play that much. I want a good young asset or a first round pick. Starting point of the conversation. Make the money work elsewhere. Let's do it. But I'm not saying we have to have both. Not right now. He's not doing good enough. That's come from somebody who is a big Jerami Grant fan. I love Jerami Grant. I love what he brings to the table, but I'm starting to see his role in this team dwindle as Cade starts to step up.
I see what you're saying, because it does feel like he's almost starting to force his role a bit. The hero ball was necessary last year. This year, for example, there was who were we playing a couple of games ago? The Pacers. Was it the Pacers that we also lost to by 3? No, we beat the Pacers. The Warriors. Sorry, the Warriors. I got my teams mixed up. But yeah, late in that game, we're down by, I believe it was 5. About 2 minutes left. Jerami Grant's bringing Grant's ball at the top of the key, and Kate Cunningham comes up to passing the ball so he can initiate the offense, and Jerami Grant weighs him off and just goes ISO. And that's in my head, I'm like, that's completely unnecessary.
Completely agree with you. If you look at, and I know it's a small sample size, it's only 15 games, but if you look at Jerami Grant's numbers compared to last year, they are dropping in every single category. Shooting percentage, because he's forcing his own offense here. His points, rebounds, assists, every single metric he's dropped in. And he's also taking fewer shots. So, yeah, his role is going away, and he's also forcing the role that he does have.
Yeah.
And not going to say that it hasn't worked. Obviously, it hasn't, but because it doesn't matter this year. But regardless, it is something I am paying attention to, and I think all fans should pay attention to. This guy's role is not going to be what it was last year. He's not going to put up the same numbers as he was last year. So yeah, it's dangerous to play a little bit of a game of chicken here with the offers that come to us for Jerami Grant, because there are going to be plenty, at least a few. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. Anything else to add about the Pistons?
I was going to mention the whole Hamidou Diallo, Josh Jackson thing, but I don't think we have time to talk about it, so we'll move on.
What's the Hamidou Diallo, Josh Jackson thing?
Well,
we got time. We're only at 30 minutes here. We got time.
Diallo, a couple games ago, he finally got a significant amount of playing time, and basically was at the expense of Josh Jackson, who got a
which we said
did not
all
play
offseason was going to be the situation.
Yeah, but he played real well, and then not yesterday, a couple days ago, he against the Lakers. Him and Josh Jackson both got a decent amount of playing time with Killian out. But again, Diallo outperformed Josh Jackson significantly. And then it already looks like tonight, Diallo was the first guy off the bench before Josh Jackson. Killian's still out, obviously. Do you think that Diallo is overtaking Josh Jackson's role on this team? Or do you think this team is just trying to showcase Diallo for the trade deadline?
I actually think it's neither. And the reason I say it is because I think Dwayne Casey, when it comes to those two guys, is going to ride the hot hand. Early in the season, when Josh Jackson was getting all the minutes and Diallo was not, Josh Jackson was playing very well, especially offensively.
Yeah.
Now that Josh Jackson's taking a little bit of a step back, look who's taking a step up and is the hot hand right now. It's Hamidou Diallo. Look who's getting the minutes. It's Diallo. Yes, in situations where it's necessary, you got to play them both, like it was last night. Probably will be again tonight. And in the case of both of them, especially Josh Jackson, they've always kind of been streaky players, especially Josh Jackson. So he's going to have nights where he gets a ton of minutes and doesn't do much, but he's also going to have nights where he gets a ton of minutes and does a lot. So I think Dwayne Casey is going to just be playing the hot hand with both of these guys, and he's still trying to figure out if either one of them is going to be a future part of this franchise or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really think it's a showcasing situation. I don't think it's Diallo taking over the roster over Josh Jackson. I think he's riding the hot hand. That's all.
Do you have a preference?
Josh Jackson brings a little bit more all around on the floor than Hamidou Diallo does. There's no question about that. But
Neither can shoot the three all that well.
Right. I do like the spark that Hamidou Diallo brings offensively, though. And I frankly I like the type of player
with athleticism.
I just like the type of player that Diallo is. So I guess I'll lean Diallo, but again, Josh Jackson brings quite a bit outside of that as well. So it's, give or take. But I'm going to say slightly Diallo.
I think for situations where I need to get a bucket, I prefer Josh Jackson.
Fair.
But as long as I'm in the lead and just need a guy who can kind of do a little bit of everything on the court, I'm probably going Diallo, personally. Fair. I think that's the main advantage, and it's a pretty big advantage that Josh Jackson has over Diallo. He can get a bucket when you need a bucket.
He can. He absolutely can. So you think Diallo brings a little bit more elsewhere on the floor than Josh Jackson? Because I think it's the opposite.
I think Diallo is a little bit smarter out there in terms of the plays he makes. I do think they're both similar defensively. They both, I think it's a wash.
I also think Josh Jackson.
People say Diallo's a better defender. I do think it's a wash.
I think it's a wash.
Josh Jackson's a better defender than people give him credit for.
He is. I also think I like Josh Jackson off ball a lot more than I like Diallo off ball. But that also has to do with the fact that if I need a bucket, Josh Jackson's the guy that I go to in between the two. So, anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the Lions. Andrew, go ahead and kick things off here.
So Lions played the Browns last weekend. We started TB12, Tim Boyle. It was not pretty.
8.
No, he's 12, sir.
Is he?
Yeah.
That shows how much I give a shit about Tim Boyle. 12.
But yeah, it wasn't pretty, and it was eerily similar to the Steelers game in terms of we were basically just not trusting our quarterback to throw the ball and running the ball in situations where you would never normally run the ball. And my reaction to this right now is like I'm beyond questioning the play calling, and I'm at the point of why can't we get a quarterback that we at least trust to throw the football on this team? I legitimately don't understand.
Okay, let me put it this. Let me just say this: good quarterbacks don't just fall off. They don't grow on trees. They don't just fall out of the sky and land in your lap. Like that's not a thing.
Oh, I'm not asking for a good quarterback. I am just asking for a quarterback that we just trust to throw the football. That's it.
Well, I mean, again, you play the hand that you're dealt.
Team in the league trusts their quarterback, where it's their third string, where it's a guy picked up off the street.
Wrong. The Miami Dolphins do not trust Tua Tagovailoa, and that's obvious.
They trust him more than we trust our quarterback.
That's because he's better than anybody we have in this roster. Like, let me put it this way: you have the worst quarterback situation in the league.
Yes,
the worst quarterback situation in the league. And frankly, I don't even think it's that close. Like, I think the team that has the second worst quarterback situation in the league is still head and shoulders. Like, they probably have two guys that would start on this team. They are head and shoulders above what we have. Let me just start with that, just to make it clear. Second of all, like, why would you trust these guys to throw the ball? They've proven they can't.
No, I don't. I'm not saying I do. What I'm asking is how come we're the only organization in the league seemingly that can't get a quarterback in here that can just throw the football. Not even saying just a guy we can trust to throw it 30 times. Even Tua throws it 30 times.
We thought we had that. We thought we had a guy who can at worst be a game manager in Jared Goff, because that's what he was in LA. So I can't really blame the Lions in that regard. They went after a guy as a stopgap for the youth that's going to be coming, and it turns out he's worse than we thought. It doesn't make a difference in my mind. He just sucks. And that's a fact. And it doesn't help that he's got nobody to throw the ball to. Like, nobody to throw the ball to, so that doesn't help. But again, like, we thought we had a guy who could at least manage a game, and he's proven he can't. So now we got to do something else here, or wait it out until we get the guy. And that's, you know what? That's fine and dandy, because this team wasn't going to win anyways.
Oh, I agree.
Frankly, I do think play calling is a bit of the problem. And I'm going to fault Dan Campbell a little bit here, because he doesn't make sense anymore. Like, his philosophy makes zero sense now. I know he took over play calling last week, and he took over play calling this past week as well. But, like, his mentality of managing a game has made zero sense. And we faulted him early in the season for being too aggressive. Well, now he's like, it's so conservative, it's unbelievable. Like, it's so conservative, it's almost like he doesn't know how to run a play in the right situation. Like, it was a 4th and 5 late in the game, down by 6, and they settle for a field goal. Why?
I think even worse was running on 3rd and 15.
I mean, okay, that honestly, as a Lions fan over the last umpteen years of my life, I've come to expect them to run on 3rd and long at this point. Like, it's just so ingrained in my head. Yeah, it's the draw up the middle every single time. Like, I've come to expect that. It doesn't even surprise me anymore. But, like, this guy was so overly aggressive to begin the year, and now he's so overly conservative. Like, it doesn't make sense anymore.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not defending Dan Campbell. I'm just saying that I think Dan Campbell called a terrible game on Sunday,
and he called a terrible game the week prior.
I'm just saying it should stop at Dan Campbell. I think we should be questioning Brad Holmes, and also as to why we can't even. I
don't disagree.
Secure, like, I get it. Okay, Jared Goff didn't work out,
but let me.
It seems like we're the only team that doesn't have a competent backup on this roster. Let me ask you
this: what do you want him to do? Like, what do you like? What in the situation of this offseason where you really didn't have much to play with? You were in a situation where you were where there wasn't a ton available. Quarterbacks that were available out there don't want to come here. What do you want him to do? He traded for a guy that he thought would be able to be competent. He traded away our starting quarterback, and the only way to make that deal work was to bring in Jared Goff.
Yeah, I'm not faulting him for that, but it's the exact reason why you do a little better. We didn't at least try to get a better backup quarterback. We got away with it with Stafford because we had a great quarterback in Stafford.
Say that, Andrew. Like I don't think you can. I don't think.
Why can't I say he should have been able to? He stuck with Tim Blau and Tim Boyle, both David Blau and Tim Boyle, both of which we had last season.
Okay, but you can't say he didn't.
You're telling me you couldn't find
Cam Newton or somebody and say, "Hey, do you want to come play backup quarterback?"
I don't know if he did or not. All I'm saying is I find it hard to believe
he didn't try.
All I'm saying is I find it hard to believe you couldn't find a single quarterback better than these two. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, who?
I am not the GM.
I'll be an owl here. Who?
I find it. So you're telling me all 31 teams found a better quarterback than we were able to find found a better backup quarterback than we were able to.
We're the
one team that could have found some guy like a Mike White, for example. I don't necessarily think that's true
either. I really don't, because a lot of the teams that have a backup quarterback are situations like where they drafted the backup quarterback or XYZ. Who knows? Like in the case of the Jets, who have Joe Flacco, that's New York. That's a better market. Joe Flacco may want to play in New York because he's an East Coast guy.
I'm not even talking about Joe Flacco. I'm talking about they had the wherewithal to have Mike White in that roster. Not saying he was great, but he was at least serviceable once.
Who? Oh, Mike White. Isn't he a rookie?
No. He got drafted like 2-3 years ago.
Okay, but that doesn't, like, the dude was a flash in the pan, though. You can't speculate and say that he's a better quarterback than what we have. Like, we don't know. He played one good game.
I understand, but he's at least I'm just asking for a quarterback we trust to throw the football. It's not asking for much. You literally
frankly speaking,
do you understand
I don't know that I would trust Mike White to do it? He threw 4 picks in his last game. Do
you understand how bad it looks when the first time you trot out a quarterback, you say you have a game plan where you only let him throw 20 times because he's your backup quarterback and you don't trust him to play quarterback. Why would you have a backup quarterback you don't trust to play quarterback? That's my question.
I also think it had a lot to do with that DeAndre Swift was fucking cooking. Like, the Browns could not stop Swift, and that was obvious. So I think that had a lot to do with the game plan decision-making and in certain situations. Like, frankly, I would have rather them go to the DeAndre Swift on certain plays a little bit more. On those 3rd and shorts, I would have rather them go with DeAndre Swift because guess what? It was working. But, and I can't believe I'm defending Brad Holmes here because I've been one of his biggest critics. But at the same time, what do you want him to do? Like, who is he going to go get to come to the Lions that is a known competent quarterback in this league?
Again, I am not saying to get a known quarterback either. All I'm saying is have a guy you trust to play. That's the whole point of a backup quarterback. A backup quarterback is a guy that not someone you trust in the future.
Don't fall off out of the sky,
I'm not talking about Sean Hill. I'm just saying it's not someone you trust in the future of your team, but someone you trust in a pinch if your quarterback goes down to go and run the game
Dan
right.
Orlovsky. Like, you make it sound like good backup quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. They're not. Like, being a good quarterback in this league is very hard to do. There's probably maybe 40 guys that can actually play a decent enough quarterback to not get laughed out of the locker room. Like, there's not many guys out there that can do this.
I know, and I agree with you. I'm not asking for someone who we're going to consider good. I'm just asking, why don't we have someone that our organization itself doesn't even trust, just trust to throw the football.
They didn't trust Jared Goff to throw the football.
It got to that point.
Again, what do you want them to do? It's not as easy as it looks to just go find a guy that you are taking a guess on and hoping he's going to pan out as a solid backup quarterback. Like, it's not that easy.
I think my argument is simpler than you're making out to be. I'm saying, well, if you have a quarterback on your roster, a backup quarterback on your roster, that you already know that when you put him in the game, you don't trust him to throw the football, and you're not going to be able to run any kind of solid offense with him out there, then why is he the backup quarterback on your roster? I get what you're
saying, but I'll tell you right now, there's probably 30 other teams in this league that also don't trust the backup quarterback to run the same game plan.
Well, we've seen it happen time and time again.
No, we really haven't. We've seen it happen twice. Joe Flacco, sure, but he's an established vet in this league. Mike White was a lucky shot, and then the rest of his games were not very good.
But they at least trusted him to throw the football.
Or they took a guess and said, hey, let's try it. And he, worked one day, and then they said, fuck it, let's do it again. And then it didn't work.
Well, then do that with Tim Boyle. Take a guess and say, hey, let's try it.
Okay, you're talking about a guy who threw 1 touchdown and 13 picks in 3 years at UConn. Why would you trust this guy?
Why would you have on the team? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that right there is the biggest mystery in the NFL. Why is Tim Boyle an NFL quarterback? Because look at the dude's college numbers. He wasn't even good at an FCS school. How is this dude in the pros? I don't know. It's the biggest mystery of the week. Like, when I found out his
literally
stats,
just based on his arm strength.
I found out his college stats, I was blown away because this dude sucked in college. D1, not even a good team, not even a good school. Garbage. 1 touchdown to 13 picks. It was so bad. Couldn't transfer to another D1 school. Went to an FCS school. Threw for 11 touchdowns and 13 picks in his 1 season there. Dude sucked. Like, how was he on a team? That's beside the point, though. He is on the team. So, I mean, shit, the Packers trusted him for a few years to be the backup, but my point is, like, it's easier said than done to find a guy that you can trust. Like, and I'll tell you right now, there's not many teams in this league that they would trust to run the same game plan as they do the starting quarterback. And frankly, I bet you right now, regardless if Jared Goff was out there or Tim Boyle, whoever's, insert Lions quarterback here was out there, they still wouldn't have thrown more than 25 passes. Why? Because they suck. Like, let's be real here. It doesn't matter who was, which quarterback was out there for the Lions on Sunday. They wouldn't throw the ball much because they can't. And the run was working. So if the run works, you got to take away from the pass, and thank God it was, because if the run wasn't working, they would have gotten shut out. Like, there was no chance of anything else happening. But yes, I am going to say, yes, I am critical of Brad Holmes because the roster he has put together is so bad. I don't see a path for success in the future. Like, I don't see a single player outside of maybe 2 or 3 on this roster in terms of skill positions that I envision being a part of the future of this team. Like, I agree. Not a single one outside of maybe 1 or 2.
No, talent-wise, I do believe this is the worst Lions roster that I've watched, and that includes the 0-16 team.
This team is worse than that team. Like, no question in my mind. So, yeah, I do doubt the abilities of Brad Holmes to put together a roster because of that. And I think everybody should right now. And I also think that talent recognition should be a question as well. Because he clearly, I don't know if he planned to have Jared Goff suck this much and to be this bad for the next couple of years or what. But
I mean, hey, I was streaming to the high heavens when we got him that he's not that good. But I cannot believe that Brad Holmes, being that close to the Rams organization when Jared Goff was there, actually believed Jared Goff was a good quarterback. I can't honestly believe that.
Well, I'm pretty sure Brad Holmes was a proponent for Goff to begin with. Like, I'm pretty sure he touted him out of school and touted.
But I hope he's not. I hope he's not that stubborn where he sees what's in front of him and just denies it.
Sent out of town in L.A. was because of Sean McVay. It wasn't. Yeah, because, I actually.
But there was a reason Sean McVay didn't like him and wanted him out of town.
Sean McVay thought he sucked. Yeah, that doesn't mean Brad Holmes thought he sucked. Like, Brad Holmes was a believer in Jared Goff. He was.
I wonder if he still is.
How can you be? Like, this dude's terrible. Like, okay, let me put it this way. I think there is a glaring issue with quarterback talent recognition with this team. And I think it starts with Brad Holmes and goes deeper than that. But that is one of the biggest worries I do have because, frankly...
You're getting to the crux of my argument.
Right. I do think I know there were more offers on the table for Matt Stafford, and I know that, like, Matt Stafford wanted to go to LA and you did something to appease your quarterback. But at the same time, at some point, you got to say, hey, we got to do what's best for the organization, 1. And 2, and frankly, even if you weren't even going to look at that possibility and just to appease your longtime vet and Stafford to let him go to the team he wants to go to, that doesn't mean if you don't believe in Jared Goff, that doesn't mean you don't keep looking. You know what I mean? And that's what worries me. And I know maybe they did keep looking for another quarterback that could potentially come in if they needed him to. And everybody else just said no. I can guarantee you Cam Newton said no. I insert other names here. I can guarantee a lot of them said no.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, and this is a little bit off topic, but like, can you explain to me why Taysom? First of all, why Taysom Hill is not starting over Trevor Siemian, but two, why Taysom Hill, who can't beat Trevor Siemian out for a starting job, just got an extension for minimum $40 million, but could be worth as much as like $95 million.
Because Sean Payton and the Saints are trying so hard to be the smartest guy in the room when it comes to Taysom Hill.
Well, Sean Payton has a hard-on for Taysom Hill.
I'll be straight up with you. I don't think Taysom Hill is better than Trevor Siemian at the quarterback position. I don't. I think Trevor Siemian is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill. So to say that,
he can't even beat him out for the starting job.
So with that being said, Taysom Hill though can still be a weapon, and he's proven that in this league. Like he still can be a weapon, but I think that
$40 million weapon,
and that goes to the point that Sean Payton has a hard on for Taysom Hill and wants him to work out as to what he envisions him. Like I think it's a waste of money in my mind. If you want me to be real, I think it's a waste of money because it's almost like, okay, put it this way. Remember how Michigan used to use Jabril Peppers as like this offensive weapon? Yep. And it just really never worked out because, the guy just wasn't that good on that side of the ball. Well, black pot me black kettle. Like here you go. It's the same type of deal. Yes, Taysom Hill actually does work in the right situation, but like it's just them being cute. And frankly, it's tying up money that's needlessly tied up because he's such a niche player that he's only going to touch the ball X amount of times a game.
And if he touches the ball more than that, you're paying him $95 million. So.
Exactly. So I don't see why it's a good idea for them to do this. But again, Sean Payton's trying to be the smartest guy in the room. And he's trying relentlessly because he's been doing this damn thing for years.
With Andy Dalton starting, do the Bears have a better chance do we have a better chance of being the Bears or a worse chance of being the Bears?
I think just about the same because I think neither quarterback's really that good for the Bears right now, and I think the team as a whole is bad. So it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking for them between the two. The Bears just suck, and so do we.
The Andy Dalton-led Bears couldn't beat a Lamar Jackson-less and Marquise Brown-less Ravens team. So
yeah, but the Ravens have other good aspects to their roster. Like their defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
the Lions' defense is not. Actually,
they still had Taylor Hundley march down the field like a man and a half. And put them to bed.
Let me say this. The Lions' defense has been good the last 2 weeks. Don't kill me.
I'm not. I mean, I do think I'll give them credit for this week. I can't give them as much credit for the Steelers game, but I'll give them credit this week.
They're holding teams down. Yeah. Yes, they're giving up a lot of rushing yards, but they're keeping teams out of the end zone.
Yeah.
And that's how you win games. Granted, the offense isn't doing enough to make up for it, but it seems like the defense is starting to play a little bit better together. Yeah. And you've seen guys step up like Jerry Jacobs that you didn't really expect to.
Yeah. This was the second straight week that I bet the opposing running back to score 2+ touchdowns from the Lions, and it's not happened either time.
Nick Chubb didn't even record a rushing touchdown. He recorded a passing touchdown, or receiving touchdown, I believe.
But a touchdown's touchdown. So.
Yeah, it is. But
either way, didn't happen. So,
like the Lions' defense is stepping up in a way that I didn't expect them to, and they're playing pretty solidly. Like, are they a good defense? No, but they're playing better than I expected they would at this point.
Yeah,
the offense is just so bad. That yikes! Like you hold a team to 13 points and you can't win that game. Like damn, like, and this is a problem that goes beyond talent. It's a problem that has to do with the coaching as well as the play calling and the talent, obviously, and the quarterback play. Like it's all across the board. They need to blow that whole thing up. If you ask me, blow the whole offense up and start new because it's brutally bad.
You wouldn't even keep DeAndre? I'm of the belief that if DeAndre Swift was on the very team, he's easily a top 10 running back in the league.
I'll say I'm going to disagree with top 10. I'll say top 15. But I'll say this. I'll give DeAndre Swift a pass for the first 7 weeks of the season because of the fact that it's come out that Anthony Lynn has been absolutely god-awful at finding ways to utilize him properly. It's straight up come out that Anthony Lynn is lost on how to handle this offense.
Yeah.
And that's why Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling. And since Dan Campbell's taken over the play calling, Jerami Swift's been a lot better. 2 straight 100-yard games. So that tells you that this dude is a talent and he's a good player in the right situation. Now, if it's a good team, is he still as good? That's a different question. We haven't gotten to see that. So I don't know. In a different situation, how good is he really? I don't know. Right now, they're leaning on him, and he's pretty good. He's stepping up. But when we have a competent team, does he stick out as much? We'll see. Hopefully, we'll see anyways. But DeAndre Swift, yeah, I'll give him a pass for the first 7 weeks. He looks pretty good so far, and yeah, I'd hold on to him. I'd hold on to him and Hawk. Really, that's it.
Yeah.
In terms of skill position players. The line I'm not mad at all right now. Penei Sewell has actually looked pretty solid on the right side since Taylor Decker's come back. Obviously, Taylor Decker's a good left tackle. You've got Frank Ragnow, even though he's been hurt. Jonah Jackson, even though had a stupid, costly penalty in that game, he's still a pretty good left guard. So, And Vitai's the weak link on the offensive line. Let's just say that. But anyways, let's talk about Anthony Lynn for a minute. Does this guy get fired at the end of the year? And frankly, let me ask you
I
this.
feel like the writing's on the wall, if you're asking me.
Is there any reason to keep him on board right now?
Honestly, he at least called a better offense than Dan Campbell has. So in that sense, sure, unless you think like maybe the quarterback's coach or someone can call a better offense, which I don't think our quarterbacks have looked. I doubt it.
You've seen our quarterback play.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm saying.
You know what? Promote the running backs coach.
But yeah, unless you believe one of the other offensive coaches, assistant coaches, can call a better game than Dan Campbell, then I don't see how you can fire Anthony Lynn because he's at least better than Dan Campbell calling the offense.
Now let me ask you this. Anthony Lynn has had the quote-unquote, laughing quote-unquote, I should say, luxury of a healthy Jared Goff. Dan Campbell has not had that laughing quote-unquote luxury. He had a severely hampered Jared Goff against the Steelers, who looked like he couldn't throw a football more than 5 feet. Oh, wait, he couldn't. And Tim Boyle in his second game. So in the 2 games he's played called, he has not had a healthy starting quarterback.
And we're apparently trying. Well, we may find out on Thanksgiving because we're apparently trending towards a healthy Jared Goff on Thanksgiving.
With that being said,
so maybe save judgment.
Can we definitively say Dan Campbell calls a worse game than Anthony Lynn because he hasn't really had a quarterback that's even competent or close to competent.
You make a good point. I still don't like what he's done without a competent quarterback, but
no, I don't either. There's no question about it. Like,
I'll be willing to hold judgment until after Thanksgiving.
Let me put it this way. Would I be happy? Like, would I like to see the Lions just throw the playbook up in the air, the clipboard up in the air, and just say "fuck it" with their backup quarterback in? He's going to throw the ball 35 times. Like, just say "fuck it," fuck the plan, and throw it up in the air, and let's get after it. Let's have some fun. Yeah, it'd be fun. It could end drastically bad. What do they have to play for? Like, who cares? And that goes back to why can't they find a guy they can trust to throw the ball? Like, I don't even care. Like, I'm at a point where I don't even care if you trust him. Just do it. Let's see what we got. Let's see what this kid can do. I don't even care. Because what do they got to play for? And who knows? Maybe you luck into a Mike White magic game situation. That'd be fun. At least, at the very least, as a Lions fan, if it's laughably bad or it works out and it's awesome, it'd be fun and it'd be something to watch. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at a point in the Lions season where I'm the drunk guy with the lamp on his head and beer in each hand and an empty bottle of whiskey in front, just giggling, swaying side to side at this point. Like, that's how I am as a Lions fan because I don't care anymore. Like, this team is that bad. Yeah, I do want to see them win a game, but I also just want to have some fun with this season. Like, come out, first play of the game on Thanksgiving. Triple reverse razzle dazzle or the Statue of Liberty play. Let's see it.
I'm all for the Statue of Liberty play.
Next play, flea flicker. And I'll be damned
He did that a few games ago.
But I'll be damned if we don't see a damn fumble-rooski play with big old Taylor Decker, somebody carrying that ball into the end zone. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that game against the Rams was the most entertaining Lions offense that I watched this season so far. So
I just want the Lions to throw out the playbook, throw out the game plan. Let's just go back to the roots of football in the playground and have some fun.
Lions getting 3 points against the Bears. Who are you taking? Reportedly, Bears are firing Matt Nagy after this game.
They should have done it 3 weeks ago.
Nagy says it's untrue.
I'll say give me Da Bears.
The over-under set at 41.5.
Under.
I think it should be set at 31.5. Personally.
That may be the lowest over-under of the year, by the way.
Yep.
And it still is too many. Too many points under.
If I said Lions 3.5, would you take it?
Probably not. Like this offense is so bad.
They played the last 2 games within a field goal.
They have. I mean, I guess you're right. I don't want to bet this game. Like, I don't want to do it.
If I'm making a bet on this game, it's on the under.
Fine.
That's the bet I'm making.
But even that's a really low under, so it's kind of scary.
I'll tease it up a couple points just to be safe.
What if David Montgomery comes out and rushes for 3 touchdowns? Like, that almost already may kill your under.
There's always that what if.
I know, but there's in this case of a what if, like I know the what if game's stupid, but in this what if, it's legitimately possible. For the most likely what if there ever was.
For the Lions Browns game last Sunday, I bet not Najee Harris, Nick Chubb to score 2 touchdowns. I teased this is a stupid thing to do, but I teased the total line down 10 points and took the over. So I took the over. I think it was at like 32.5. So I took it at 33.5, and it still didn't.
Well, I mean, yeah, you had 2 terrible teams playing in that game. Like the Browns have been royally disappointing in the last few weeks.
But my logic was if I'm
has a lot to do with
Chubb,
an unhealthy Baker.
If I'm betting Nick Chubb to get 2 touchdowns, then it's fairly likely that they at least go over 32.5 points. That's not a lot of points. But
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like that
correlation.
That total line is low enough to where if somebody has a good game, that could blow that number out of the water. Like it.
Well, Luka Garza's bleeding out of his face.
What happened now? Is he chasing somebody down trying to kill him?
No, he went to the bench.
Oh, well, that's no fun. What happened now?
I have no idea. I just saw him sitting on the bench. His face was bleeding.
They need to get these guys off blood thinners or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, who are you taking? Lions, Bears?
Again, if I'm betting this game, I'm betting the under. But if I have to pick a winner, I'd probably go Bears money line.
That's fair, and I'd probably do the same. Now, I did say that this is one of those games the Lions could win, and I've been saying that for a while. We could see the Lions get their first win this week.
This, in my opinion,
or this Thursday,
is your most likely win, followed by Atlanta in a few weeks.
Yes. Or the Week 17 game against Packers if they have nothing to play for.
If they have nothing to play for.
Yeah. Boy, how far we've come.
But judging from the fact they lost to Minnesota last weekend, they're probably going to have something to play for.
Yeah, that's very true.
That pretty much almost guarantees they're going to at least be playing for.
I still don't
seeding.
understand how the Packers lost that game. Like that, it's like Aaron Rodgers played so well.
Yeah. I would have won $1,000 if they won that game.
Nice. That sucks. Brutal. Brutal. That's gambling for you.
Yep.
Been there, done that. Anyways, anything else to add before we close out?
No.
All right, I got. Guys, that is going to close it out for this week. We thank you very much for joining with us or for listening. And follow us on Twitter at Real Fan Report. We, from the Fan Report, want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Spending time with your families, friends, or if you are, you enjoyed spending time by yourself, do it. Do what you love, and we're thankful for you guys. We're thankful for Detroit Sports Podcast. Andrew, I'm thankful for you.
Aw. I'm thankful for you too, Nicholas.
There's still a lot of football and basketball to go the rest of the year, so we're definitely excited, continuing to look forward to it. I'm also thankful for the sports teams in this town, even if they haven't rewarded me in the last few years. I do feel like we're starting to see the turn of the tide there. So, but anyways, guys, enjoy your holiday. Enjoy the time off if you have it. If you don't, hopefully things don't get too crazy. Stay safe out there. But we'll catch you guys next week. Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
We will catch you guys next week. Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.